My name is Diana. I am 31 years old, and my husband Harold is 37. We have been married for 6 years, and together we have a 4-year-old son named Jamie. We live in a small apartment, and life has never been easy, but it has always been ours. Harold worked at a construction company. He was not paid much, but his salary was enough to cover our rent, our bills, and food. We never bought new clothes. We never ate at a restaurant. We never had money left over at the end of the month. But I felt safe because Harold's job was steady and I knew what tomorrow would look like. Then one evening, Harold came home with a smile I had not seen in a long time. He said his boss had promised him a promotion the following month. We were so happy. I thought about buying a small dress. I thought about a real birthday celebration for Jamie. For the first time in years, I let myself dream a little. 2 weeks later, Harold walked through the door with a different face. He sat down slowly and told me the company was closing some offices. There was no more work for him. They had let him go. My heart stopped. I looked at the man I loved, and I saw tears in his eyes. I held his hand and told him everything would be fine. But that night, lying in the dark, I could not sleep. I was terrified. The next morning, Harold woke up early and began searching for work. He sent his CV to every company he could find. He went to interviews. He came home tired and quiet each evening. Every night I asked, "Did you get it?" And the answer was not yet. The weeks passed and our savings grew smaller. I cooked cheaper meals. We made one pot of food last 2 days. I stopped buying anything for myself. When Jamie needed new shoes, I fixed his old ones instead. One day I sold my ring to pay the rent. A friend visited me. She said, "Diana, you cook so well. Why don't you try selling food online?" I talked to Harold. He told me I already did too much. But I could see the weight he was carrying. He finally agreed. I photographed my food and posted it online. At first, I received 2 orders a week, then a few more. The money helped, but it was not enough to replace a salary. I had to ask my mother for help to pay Jamie's school fees. 2 months passed. I was exhausted. I cooked, cleaned, cared for Jamie, and ran my business, while Harold searched for work. I knew he was trying. I could see it in his tired eyes. But the pressure had built up silently inside me, and one night it broke. There had been no orders, a call from the landlord, and Jamie was crying. I was at the stove, my hands burning from hot oil, when Harold walked in and said nothing. Something inside me snapped. I told him I was feeding the whole family alone. I told him I was tired of carrying everything. My voice was sharp, and my words were unfair. Harold did not shout back. He stood quietly and said, "I'm trying, Diana. I am trying." Then he walked outside. I watched him from the window. He sat on the stairs. He looked like a man with nothing left, and I felt ashamed. The next morning, we both apologized. I told him I was scared, not angry. He told me I was right. that day, something shifted in him. He stopped waiting for the perfect job and started applying for everything. He asked to work as a cleaner. He applied for a taxi license. He called small companies. He was different. Still, more weeks passed. Then one morning, his phone rang. It was an interview invitation. Harold looked frightened. He said, "What if they say no again? What if they laugh at me?" I held his hand and said, "Go, Harold. Even if it is small, go." He hesitated. I pushed his coat into his hands. I sat on the floor and waited. I made quiet plans for what we would do if he failed again. I did not move for 3 hours. When the door opened, Harold looked tired. My heart sank. Then, slowly, a smile crossed his face. "They gave me the job, Diana," he said. "It starts next week." I burst into tears. It was a small factory job, honest and simple. But it meant money would come every month. It meant we could breathe again. I looked at him and said, "It is not the life we planned, but it is our life, and we will make it work." Our life did not change overnight. We still checked every price, but the worry was no longer mine alone. 1 month later, I bought myself a simple dress. When I looked in the mirror, I felt like myself again. I felt like a woman who had carried something heavy and was still standing. Life still had difficult days, but those arguments felt smaller now. We resolved them quickly. We talked more. We laughed again. One quiet evening, Harold said, "I was ashamed to tell you how bad I was feeling." I took his hand. I said, "Don't ever hide from me. We are a family. We are honest with each other." He nodded and held me tightly. That is all any family really needs. 2 people who refuse to give up, who share the weight and keep going together.